Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. I'm Aaron Dillon, and today we've got a special show in store for you. Today we are joined by Mohammed Ayyaz and Tony Sharma from Rotary International to hear about their efforts to strengthen relations between India and Pakistan. Firstly, thank you both for joining us today. Tony, tell us a little bit more about Rotary. What is it?
So, Aaron, Rotary is the largest service organisation in the world. The prime directive is Seva. So, with over 1.2 million members, we have 6 avenues of service, focusing on peace, health, education, water, disease control, and the signature project is ending polio. Now, Rotary has been partnered by the World Health Organization, the Bill Gates Foundation, and we're very, very close, this close to eradicating polio. And the last place that it's still existing is in Pakistan and Afghanistan. And Rotary has taken the credit for that because it started this program. So after that, amongst many things, where we get involved is on the peace side, because now Mohammed lives about 3 streets away from me in London, but we've been colleagues in Rotary for many years. And when we heard about what's happening in Pakistan and India, we, like everybody else, just thought ignore it. But the time has come to act. And some 3 years back, Rotary started that action, starting basically, believe it or not, in Canada. And Mo then took over from the London side.
And Mo, in terms of the Peace Project and your efforts to strengthen relations between India and Pakistan, where is that campaign currently at?
Well, we're at this stage where we've done an official world launch, which was on the 4th of March. And that was when we had these skirmishes and aircraft and all sort of issues happening in Pakistan. And we were even more determined to go ahead with the project. So we did a launch in Parliament where it was a cross-party, all-party launch, and we had Rotarians from all over the world who were in attendance, and especially supporters here in the UK, because we've had enough of the violence. And in a sense, both countries are kind of seen worldwide as almost a kind of joke, our confrontations, when in fact we're the same blood, we're the same people, and we just have to, and we've got intelligent people on both sides, and we can now, register what's happened and move on to peaceful coexistence. And this Indus Peace Park project was a way of trying to get the people of both countries to come together and integrate with one another, but at the same time realize the realities. We can't change the politics, but what we can change is the relationship.
And prior to the horrific events of 1947, the partition, obviously Muslims, Sikhs, Hindus, they were neighbours. Is it difficult sometimes to get people on board with your efforts and, to the time that they once was? Because especially for the younger generation who may not know that they were all neighbours at one stage. But is that a difficulty that you have faced or you expect to face in the future? Absolutely
not. The younger generation just thinks the older generations are mad. Why can't they live together? Because everywhere else in the world, we live side by side, as friends, as brothers, as sisters, as neighbours. And that's how it used to be in that time before partition. Now, the older generations do face difficulties because they have lived through that horrible time. And forgiveness is very difficult when you've lost your own nearest and dearest. So, we were at the launch at the BBC a couple of days ago of a book by Kavita Puri, and we heard some 35 different partition stories. It had everybody in tears. And when we told them what we're trying to do, some were saying, well, it's about time somebody did something, but the others were saying, I wish it was true, I wish it could happen, but they really find it difficult to forgive and for those wounds to heal. So it is a difficult time with the older generation, but the younger generation are totally on board.
And do you believe a project like this is ever more important following the recent tensions in Kashmir between India and Pakistan?
Absolutely. Rotary throughout the world has numerous peace centres where they deliver courses, postgraduate courses in conflict resolution and peace studies. And what we want to see, as I said before, the talent you have in India and Pakistan, we can't allow things to kind of expand or go into violence because innocent people, and the innocent people start with the actual army themselves on both sides. We don't want military personnel losing their life, let alone the public, because those military people, proud people on both sides, should be distinguished. They should be involved in other peacekeeping exercises around the world. And if you look at Russia, for example, and China, they've got together with India and Pakistan, and they do joint exercises to do terrorism. And you may have seen this a year ago. There was a picture of commandos, the top commandos of India and Pakistan together enjoying fellowship. And we want to see people actually come together. We realise that at the moment people won't say it, but the big wound or the genocide which occurred, the madness and partition, happened because there was no succession management by the British. That's why we did the launch here in the UK. The Partition Act started here, and we wanted to start a new chapter. And we want all Punjabis and all people from India and Pakistan to come together, because that is where we've got a big, massive tear and a scar from the past. It's been padded and it's been exploited by politicians, but it needs to come together, and you need the people to come together. Until that is together, then you can look at other issues, because you get other issues that people talk about now. We need to do something about Kashmir and all sorts of other issues. But us as Rotarians, we're not political and we're not religious in a sense. As Tony said before, seva or service before self is what we want. So we're not we're not going to get anything apart from maybe people's prayers. And we want that 1.4 million or however people, innocent people died, to be remembered and us to move on. So the whole point of the Peace Park was to have a tree planted for each of the lives that were lost. And that way a living memorial to them. Also in that place, at that ecological park, people to meet from both sides, school children to meet, have academic centre as well as the environmental centre there. So we see what we have in common. And it's not by accident we chose the name Indus, because Indus civilization is as old as the Egyptian civilization. Now here in the British Museum we got the Rosetta Stone, and they were able to decipher the language of the Egyptian hieroglyphics. But at the same time, the Indus civilization and its language haven't been deciphered. So we're saying come together, celebrate the past, but before Muslims, before all the religions came in, there was one important element, one common thread, and that was insaniyat or humanity. And we've come on that side. So we have a flag, it's going to be humanity. We want people to come together. We want half the land to be from India, half to be from Pakistan. We want that to be dedicated to those people who lost their lives, but at the same time show that peace can happen. And when you get people like yourself, young people, educated people from both sides coming together around a table as we are, that is our dream. They will have solutions for everything. If you can get the European Union, I know we're having trouble with Brexit, etc. That's another debate. But look how long it's taken them to have this little divorce. And we're British, so we're part of that. So what happened during partition? Chaos. So we want to have some sort of trade, peace and trade and all the benefits that come with peace. Why are goods being transported via Dubai? What ecological or climate argument is there? What madness it is? So we want people to have that trust back again. Sew up the wound, let it heal, talk about any other issues. What can't be discussed around the table and solved by people who have a mind to do that.
And Tony, I know you've been to Pakistan. What were your thoughts prior to that visit? And when you did go, were you met with harmony, or were there some tensions between you and the Pakistanis?
Oh, well, let me share the story from the beginning. I was in a meeting in London, and I'm the Rotary World Polio Ambassador for the World's Greatest Meal Programme. So during one of those board meetings, it was decided I should visit Pakistan. And I thought, yeah, okay, fine. And I said yes. And it didn't occur to me anything, because I'm born in England. I'm from Slough. So I know all these things, but I know people like Mohammed here. In our own club, we've got Rasib. So it didn't occur to me until I got home and told my wife that I went to Pakistan. She was furious. She goes, "You're not going to come back alive. They won't let you get out of there." I said, "No, don't worry." And when I told Rasib in my club, he said, "It's all right, you're not going to go to Pakistan." I said, "But I made a commitment." He goes, "You might have made the commitment. Guess what? The Pakistani government won't allow you in there." So I went home thinking, okay, fine, I'm not going, and wife was happy. But as the time came by, I sent in my application for the visa. And sure enough, I was refused. When I told my counterparts in Pakistan, they were furious because Pakistan is the only country with Afghanistan to have polio, and they need international exposure. So they don't know who they called. Well, I got a phone call from the Pakistani ambassador for an interview, and he granted me a visa. And this was about April, May-ish. And I kind of forgot about it because I didn't have to go there till October. When I got to October and I was finally going to the airport, I was quite sick in the stomach and very worried, knowing that in the past, look at the tensions, and when they see there's an Indian coming to Pakistan, I didn't expect a very friendly welcome. I even thought that they might turn me away from immigration. But they were wonderful. As soon as I said I'm here for the polio, they welcomed me, and I was shocked. And when I went outside, the Pakistani Rotarians were there with all the garlands you can imagine. Before I even left the terminal, we were speaking in Punjabi, and I'd forgotten I was in Pakistan. They never even considered I was from India. We were like brothers speaking the same language. And then I went on the tour. I was there for 5 days. And I can absolutely say I was totally moved by these people. And I've been trying to get back. I've had a passport visa refused again. Otherwise, I would have been there in it was February we were going. But now we've had assurances that for our trip in December, they will assure us the visa are granted, because we're planning to, and we've got several people who are going to make it happen, that we're going to be meeting with the President Imran Khan, Chaudhry Sawa, the Punjab governor, in Pakistan. Then we go to India, we're going to meet the Chief Minister of Punjab. And the people said, no problem, we will arrange it. So there's a delegation from England and Canada and USA at the same time going, about 20 people for this project.
And Mohammed, sustaining the political momentum on the peace project is going to be key, I think, to that initiative. What sort of timescales are we looking at for the completion of the project if everything was to go to plan?
Yes, we're looking at April 22 as the date that we want to open that park up. And the logistics, how we get there, that's why we're going there. We're going to talk to everyone. Everything we're doing is on the table. There's no hidden agendas. We're not getting anything out of it. There's no, apart from service to humanity. So we're going there, we're going to do a logistics kind of mission to see in a peaceful way, to see what part of the border area is best. And obviously we don't want to go where the tension is. We want people to feel comfortable, and we want transport links, everything to be good, because we want to make this a kind of wonder of the world, a tourist attraction. So when people come from abroad, they go and see the Taj Mahal, or they go to Pakistan, and they go around and see maybe Indus Peace Park civilizations and archaeology. And when they come, they say, no, we want to go to the Indus Peace Park. So we want to make it that sort of attraction. So we need to make sure all the transport links, all the logistics are there, and we can only do that with our colleagues in India and Pakistan who are on the ground. You know, we're coming to them with the ball and hoping they can score the goals.
And in terms of funding, how will the peace project be funded?
Well, Rotary International has a big budget for peace projects. However, we've been given support by the Sikh community, especially one guy from Washington, D.C. And then we've also, the Aga Khan Foundation have promised enormous support, because they want nothing more than this type of thing. And I have to add, you know, we will have these parks in place. We do not know when that connection will be, because that is a political situation we cannot control. So we live in the hope and the belief and the vision that if the Berlin Wall can come down, so can this one.
And I'm sure you've still got to win many members of the public over on this scheme, and politicians as well. But putting you on the spot a little bit, what do you believe is the biggest challenge for strengthening relations between India and Pakistan?
I think like in any sort of conflict resolution or any even domestic dispute, firstly you have to say that during partition there wasn't any hand that didn't have blood on it. So there was not one guilty party, everyone was guilty, from the politicians all the way down. So what we actually want to do is go to people and basically say, what do you feel in your heart? What's the best way forward? First, we have to say this happened. This genocide happened. Then we have to say, well, how can we ensure something like this doesn't happen in the future? And this is where the project comes into itself, because we want to actually have that people-to-people contact to allow that to happen.
Of course. Have you been quite saddened, I'm guessing, from some of the stories? I know you mentioned the partition there, but must be quite heartbreaking to hear those first-hand when people do express how they felt back in 1947. Is that something that you have faced some difficulty with, you know, listening to?
This is extremely sad. You know, breaks your heart when you hear elderly people find difficult even talking about it. You know, the partitions can be summed up by you had a Sikh, Hindu and a Muslim who lived together as brothers and sisters in the same village. And overnight they were made enemies, not between themselves, but by the crowds. And where they would never have thought twice about sharing the same meal or having inter-caste marriages and stuff, now they were arch enemies because so-and-so's daughter was killed by a Sikh or so-and-so's son was killed by a Muslim. And these people are still alive. And they said, one guy, the Sikh guy, do you remember it was on Friday, that he stood up and he said, they came, the Muslim people from my village, my brothers and sisters came and indiscriminately shot everybody and they'd left me for dead. My brothers, sisters, my mother was in a different room, so she survived and I survived. And it's only after 2 days when I sort of recovered, when I sort of woke up, I saw these people. And he must have been 85 years old or something. He survived it. So it's understandable why these wounds are there. But it's for them also to say, you have lived to tell the story.
Of course. By
God's grace, you have lived.
And I think we can expect countless hours from yourselves to be going into this project in the future. What would you say it is that spurs you on to continue going? You know, on your bad days when you feel like you are tired, you want to give up. What is it that spurs you on?
Well, for me, and I'm sure it's for the same for yourself, is if we save one life, like as I said before, whether it's a soldier on the front line or whether it's a member of the public on either side, if we save one life, it's worth it. Because I think the people, the warmongers, it's easy to have war. It's the easiest thing. But as I said before, Bachane Wala, the person who saves you, or the work to do to have peace, they are the greater people. So we are kind of peaceful warriors, if there's such a thing, or warriors of peace, because what we want, and the Sikh religion has this in abundance, is people should have their rights. People should be protected. Minorities should be protected. Every one of our lives are the same, of equal, you know. And again, this is something that I'm saying to you, but all the audience there know is a common theme, is that first insaniyat, first humanity, then we can talk anything else. Everything else is here in this world and stays in this world.
As much as I completely agree with Mohammed here, for me the moment was, I was in Jinnah Park, Pakistan, doing immunisation. And when we're doing immunisation, we wear this sort of T-shirt which shows the Union Jack, it has your name on it and has a rotary wheel on it. So when we're in Jinnah Park, the Pakistani parents brought along their children to get the polio vaccine. I was the one administering the vaccines with a team of about 30 others as well. And I had my Union Jack and my name, Tony Sharma, there. And one Pakistani guy looked at me, looked at my name, and he pointed to me, saying, "You're Indian." And I thought, oh my God, here we go. This is going to be a fight. So I'm getting ready. Now, I'm not a small guy. I can look after myself. And I said, that's right, I am Indian. He goes, and he wanted to take his child away from me. And he said, why, give me back my child. Why are you immunising my child? What's it got to do with you? Are you trying to poison? I said, listen, I'm immunising all these children. Ask all these of my colleagues, all my friends. I'm not here to poison anybody. I'm here to save lives. Why would an Indian want to save a Pakistani life? And my father taught me, you know, we're all God's children. Here's my son.
Obviously spoke about your efforts to eradicate polio. Do you think the world leaders have actually failed, as it hasn't been eradicated to date? Do you think there's been a failure to really prioritise that, and there hasn't been the attention, for example, in Pakistan? World leaders have failed in that manner?
No. It's over the years, Rotary has worked very closely with governments, and governments have supported Rotary. Why does Bill Gates support Rotary? Because he knows Rotary in this particular area are the known experts. It's not about funding. No. When you ask any government, like 2 weeks ago when from Pakistan we had the polio chair, Mohammed, it was Aziz Memon, he came to the Parliament and DFID, the UK arm of donating to these causes, was there, and they made a further commitment. So it's now funding. Although we're still about 40 billion short, we know we will get the funding from the governments because they're all plenty. The Canadian government is one of our biggest supporters. So funding is not the main. It's an issue, but it's not a main issue. The main issue is trying to get into the heartlands and the deep parts where, in Pakistan and in Afghanistan, there's ideological differences, and I don't want to be rude about anybody, so I think it's best just to say they are shooting and killing the workers who are trying to save their children.
If I can follow that up, because also there's lack of education in those areas and people being brainwashed with certain ideas about why people are going to do this. So it's mainly in these sort of conflict areas, and it's India and Afghanistan and Pakistan. There's conflicts along the border, so it's where there's conflict. Again, going back to why we're doing this peace project, where there's no peace or absence of peace, then all these things like health, education, everything, economy goes down. So we're close in, I think, Africa to eradicate totally, and Nigeria was the last country, but we're hoping that that's going to be polio free. So it's a case of just carry on working, and then make sure that it's gone. Because you don't want it popping up again, because they're still doing polio immunization in India and all over the world, because at any time it only takes one person to travel to another country for it to pop up again. So we need to make sure it's completely underground.
And aside from the peace project and efforts on polio, what else can we expect to see from Rotary International in the next decade or so? What other things have you got your eyes on that you would like to achieve?
So there's 6 areas of service. Maternal health is a focal point. Water and sanitation, which is a basic right of every human being. But in the developing world, there's no clean water to drink. So we're trying to address that one. So peace, maternal health, conflict, water, and education. There are places both in India and in Africa where children have to walk 3 miles every day just to get some dirty water to bring it back. That's the time those kids should be in education. So that's another focal area. Anybody could look at Rotary International website and see the 6 areas of focus, and they're able to help any day of the week, any which way, as much or as little as they want. But Rotary as an organisation is in more places than the United Nations. It's the only organisation to have a seat on the United Nations, because Rotary were pivotal in establishing the United Nations. So it's always been about peace. So the focus is peace for one reason: it kills more people than all diseases put together.
Do you expect Rotary to continue growing in years and years?
Yes, I do.
As well?
I mean, one of the key things with Rotary is that sometimes it can be seen as a secret organisation. Tony here is a district governor for London, and you've got so many districts in this country and abroad, and Canada, and all anywhere you go in the world, there'll be a Rotary club. But the Rotary club itself, the name club, we're Rotary International, is just a branch. So it's not a secret club that you have to have some secret handshakes to join in that respect. But it's also a good networking opportunity, because you're doing something for the local community. We talked about international projects, but even the local projects like food banks, etc., collective for food banks, doing blood pressure tests for Stroke Awareness Week. This is what we also do locally as a club. So it's getting talent like yourself, young people, professional people, to come aboard from whichever background they come from to do something for the community. And that's how Rotary began in Chicago in the 30s. You had a lawyer, a banker, and what was the other one? A lawyer, banker, and a doctor who got together and said, we've moved to this town. What can we do here in Chicago? And they helped fund and build the first public toilets. This is simple things that make a big difference. So Rotary in the future, I can see it expanding because it connects people. I mean, this year's theme is connecting the world. That's what we've been doing with the Indus Peace Park project. The more people that get connected, then any sort of suspicion or distrust between people, if that breaks down, you accomplish more together than you can individually.
That's all we've got time for, but Mohammed and Tony, thank you very much for coming on. It's been extremely insightful, and we at the Sikh Channel wish you all the best with your efforts in the future. And thank you everyone at home for watching. That's all for today. Make sure to tune in next time. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.